It happened right here, 25 years ago, on a Florida cape called Canaveral. This is the place where man's greatest adventure began. On a day pretty much like today, one of man's oldest and most enduring dreams is about to become real. 3 men are preparing to attempt a voyage to the moon, to explore that distant world and return safely to Earth. It is a watershed moment in human history. If the mission succeeds, we will no longer be destined to live out the ages here on Earth. We will have taken our first step toward the stars.
This was the biggest event that's going to happen in history.
Truly historic. The first time men were expected to travel to the moon and then land on the moon. It seemed an impossibility.
This is a culmination of everything that man has learned up until today.
It is 4:30 a.m., July 16th, 1969. 3 men, Neil Armstrong, Edwin Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins, check their spacesuits for pressure leaks. Outside, television lights scatter the darkness. On Cocoa Beach, the mood of the countdown parties shifts from wild celebration to an almost unbearable suspense. Thousands have gathered along the road leading north. 3,000 journalists are there, 1,000 more at Mission Control in Houston, more than 1 million people in all. The world stands poised for the greatest adventure in the history of mankind.
I don't think there could have been any more exciting time in history of man, perhaps, than that around Cocoa Beach at the time that we were getting ready to launch man into space and then succeeding in getting him into space. The tremendous devotion of everybody there, every technician, from the lowest janitor right up to Werner von Braun and the rocket scientists and the astronauts themselves, devoted to this one thing of exploring space, of getting out there, out beyond our own atmosphere. It was overwhelming. It grabbed up everybody.
The astronauts begin their journey. The white transfer van moves toward launch pad 39A. 3 men and their machine are about to change the world forever.
It seemed like such a risk, such a courageous, unbelievably courageous kind of thing to attempt. That it was hard to believe it was going to happen.
The number of things that can go wrong are so incredible that sort of nobody in his right mind would do it.
We ended up with an astronaut corps who really felt very strongly that they were capable of doing anything in the space environment. And I've said at times the feeling was, give us a white scarf and a jock strap and we can do this mission.
All the time it's getting closer and closer and closer. And yes, you bet we're worried about something happening that might prevent that opportunity from its fulfillment.
The elevator rises. At 6:52 a.m., Armstrong, Collins, and Aldrin enter the spacecraft. The hatches are sealed. The astronauts are alone.
This is Apollo Saturn Launch Control. We passed the 6-minute mark in our countdown for Apollo 11, the flight to land of the first men on the moon. We're on time at the present time.
At Mission Control in Houston, the flight control team has locked the doors and come to a status called Battle Short. The atmosphere in the room is filled with a strange blending of an almost cocky optimism and a nameless, relentless anxiety.
And as I walked into this room on that day, I felt that something is going to happen here today. We're really going to go. We're not only going to try to do it, we're going to accomplish the first landing of a human on another planet. It's sort of an emotional time where you sit down and you tell your controllers, hey, today we're going to go to the moon.
T-minus 1 minute, 35 seconds. The vehicle starting to pressurize as far as the propellant tanks are concerned, and all is still go as we monitor our status for it.
T minus 60 seconds and counting. The giant Saturn V rocket groans and wails and breathes vapor like a restless dragon. At Mission Control, the scientists, engineers, and doctors are concerned about the hazards of the unknown.
We used to spend a lot of time practicing our responses to various kinds of failures and abnormal circumstances. The ones you worry about are the ones you didn't foresee and didn't properly prepare yourself for.
I think most of us believe the Apollo creed, which is if you practice and practice and practice, you can get it right. And the training that NASA went through in many ways is to prepare everyone, the astronauts and the flight controllers and everybody else, for this, the fact that you're doing something that's ultimately absolutely crazy.
T minus 40 seconds. Director of Flight Crews, Deke Slayton, is concerned about the astronauts' physical and mental condition. They're tired. The stress and long hours of pre-flight training have taken their toll. Yet, the astronauts report they feel good.
All the second stage tanks now pressurized. 35 seconds and counting. We are still go with Apollo 11. 30 seconds and counting. Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds.
20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
Roger, we got a roll from
Tower cleared.
Roger, roll. One, Bravo. Apollo 11, Houston, you're good at 1 minute.
It is 9:32 Eastern Time, the morning of July 16th, 1969. The 5 Saturn F-1 engines heave the spacecraft skyward. In the first 8.9 seconds, they will consume more than 85,000 pounds of fuel. Sound waves pound the Earth like blows from Vulcan's hammer. Strapped securely in their spacecraft, astronauts Armstrong, Collins, and Aldrin slowly begin their rise toward the heavens.
We saw the light of the ignition, but the sound rolled across the desert and hit us like it had volume and physical force, and it was a very emotional experience. Truly emotional, because you knew there was a crew aboard and that these men were on a very, very dangerous mission.
Probably no adventure of man was ever launched with such a physical tumult as the launch of Saturn V carrying the Apollo spacecraft. It came across with a tremendous roar. It seemed to be saying to us that those Saturn Vs, it seemed to be announcing the importance of what we were all up to, that this is us going, and this is what it takes to go.